writing, writing about science and technology. Okay? So in the previous chapter, we discussed the challenge. Was it a chapter or a discussion? We discussed the challenge facing journalists in reporting science and technology. Those are what we discussed, isn't it? The challenges. We also described what science is. We also described what technology is. Okay? Um, we also agreed, or we advised one another on the ways of preparing yourself and of using experts to make your task easier. You cannot write a story without interaction with other people and just say, "Oh, I'm afraid, I don't have time." You have to push. Eh? Push. Push the wall. Nobody's willing to give you that information. It's only you because you need to be paid, you need to have work, isn't it? You need to survive, you need to earn a living. But then you have to produce something, you have to work, you have to sweat, or else you have no job. Eh? There will be this excuse, there are no jobs. In Malawi, people, there are no jobs. I find it funny because even those who are employed, most of them should not be working at all because they don't qualify. To me, most people don't qualify. They're just there because either their relatives brought them there or they just use some corruption. Otherwise, most people should be out there sweating, proof that they can do their own job. Eh? You see that? So it's up to us to show that I've been to university, I can write, I can do this. It doesn't come easy, it doesn't come handy. Just no, it comes with practice and hard work. Hmm? So it's not like where do I start from? Write whatever, even if you think you're writing rubbish. Write the rubbish will be recycled, and one day you'll be looking back and say, so this is what it means. Huh? And then you are employable. You don't even need to write a letter. They will just know once you go start writing. You don't even go to enough to start writing. They see your work. Oh, this is what this guy can do. Take him on board. Okay? Then you have to look for a beat. This is science, but maybe you have to look for a beat like you say, for example, you're interested in art, isn't it? Go on, write about art. Right? Start following because that's what excites you. Say, I'm an artist. So what are the challenges artists face? Write stories in that field. Eh? Share on blogs, open a blog on the internet, share with the newspaper, make voices, send to radio, take some more videos, send to TVs, eh? Post them on blogs, post on your Facebook, eh? And then gather those materials, apply for work. This is what I can do. Eh? I'm able to do this. Not that I have a degree. No, a degree doesn't do anything. But the skill behind that degree should show. So at fourth year, you should be able to write stories by now. Okay, so today we are going to discuss ways of writing bright, interesting stories, okay? And conclude with some solutions to common problem areas, okay? So the language of science and technology is one of the main reasons journalists are afraid of reporting. You know why I emphasize on that I fear, afraid? Because it's here as well. Eh? It's true. The fear is real. Journalists will say, I can't write about law or about crimes. I'm afraid. I can't write about, so some will just simply go to sports reporting. But if you write sports reporting, I'm not trying to underrate sports reporting. You can go there. Okay? You can go to environment. You can write about religion if you want. Okay? Gender equality. There's so many issues. Okay? Economics. But journalists would avoid issues like science and technology because they're afraid of doing that. Okay? And it's like you're listening to a foreign language, which you cannot speak. It's true. His argument are not far-fetched. What I'm trying to say, these arguments about where to start, what to do, is not the first one. That is culture among journalists, fear to do something, and then just leave it. And that's why maybe on radio, TV, newspapers, locally that is, you will not see so many stories on science and technology. Or they might be there, those stories, but they don't even know that they're science and technology. Because here, as we had talked or discussed last time, it's not about only phones, laptops, and like it can be anything. Environmental sciences, we saw, zoology, it's also science and technology, and or even nutrition, science and technology. The way it's prepared. Farming technologies. So, okay, so how can you overcome this? You can overcome most of this problem by following some simple rules. Okay? Number one, understand the jargon. Understand the jargon. So, what are we meaning here? What are we trying to talk here? We're saying scientific names and technical names. Eh? That's what we're referring to, jargon. Okay? Um, these are necessary for scientists. So, these are names which are mostly technical. Okay? So, it enables them to speak more accurately to one another about things they have in common. So the jargon is used among professionals themselves. Right? So if that jargon is for us journalists to change into simple language for the audience to understand, the readers, listeners, or the viewers. Okay. Uh, so there is so the kind of language is acceptable between scientists themselves. Maybe there are those in hospital, they will agree on themselves. But your ordinary readers or listeners or viewers will understand better if we journalists change that language to simpler language. Okay? Um, so you have to remember, we said we are a bridge. We are a bridge between the science world and the audience or readers, okay, or listeners. So where possible, Mariam, you are very happy today. You should explain the jargon in language your audience will understand. Okay? So to do this, you will need to understand the scientific terms yourself. You understand this by reading, going into the encyclopedia, Google, take an effort. You don't sit there and say, I can understand this. No, read. Okay. Find out the simple meanings by asking the scientists themselves, right? What's the simple meaning for this? Okay. Or your context, or look it up in the dictionary, as I said. So, if possible, and sometimes it is informative, to include scientific terms in reports as long as they are explained. So you can include them, the jargon, and explain them. Okay. Um, that was number one. Rule number two, use concrete words where possible. Use concrete words where possible. Okay. What do we mean here? People understand solid, concrete things which they can feel smell, touch, taste, or hear. These are five senses, isn't it? Okay, you know the five senses. We know them. Okay, what are these? Don't forget the tongue. Yes, that's tested. So one, two, three, four, five. Right? Okay. So try to find out because much of science is about ideas. Where possible, you should explain the scientists' abstract ideas in concrete words your ordinary readers or listeners can understand. Okay? Uh, for example, instead of describing the strength of a new sewing thread in scientific terms, saying that it will resist a force of so many kilograms, that's a thread. It's an example which is here. You might write a story telling the same facts but in concrete terms, like the example on this which comes. Scientists in China have invented a sewing thread so strong that it could take the weight of a fully grown elephant. Okay, so here, but here they're talking about it can take so many kilograms, but mentioning kilograms. Okay, for example, another one. The cheetah is a very fast animal. It can only take 5 seconds to cross a field of a football pitch. Right? Other than saying 100 meters, you have not, because the pitch from one goal to another is 100 meters. Right? But if meters, 500 meters, 500 meters is just in the head. But if I said you can take 5 seconds from one side of the goal to the other, okay? Why a human being can take the same distance 3 minutes. You see the difference, okay? So, yes. Okay. So, use of concrete weights is referred to something that um, your viewers can relate to the one of the five senses. Okay? They can relate to what they know. Of course, you'll not be telling a blind person that around the size of a pitch, football pitch, has never seen it. Eh? We're talking about people who have all the five senses. Eh? Okay. Right. You're not be talking about sound for somebody who's deaf. No. You're talking about somebody who has hearing, no hearing impairment. Okay. We can also say when reporting sizes, for example, a size, especially the very large or very small, translate them into terms which your ordinary readers or listeners can understand. For example, uh, you're talking about a size of a car or a size of an animal. eh? Uh, like we can say, breeders, we have heard about breeders, breeding. Breeders, say, breeders in Blanta have produced a new breed of a super pig. Oh, haram for others. Let's call it a super goat. Uh, let Miriam jump over the window. Are you also one? Okay. So, a super pig which can weigh up to 750 kg, about the weight of a small car. You see, you have mentioned how much the animal weighs, and then that may not be enough. You have given an example, isn't it? This because 750 kg may not even make sense. So what? But if you know the pig can weigh up to like a small car, so big, yeah? Okay. So of course, some scientific numbers are so large or so small that you will never be able to put them into concrete terms for your ordinary readers or listeners. So for example, the concept of a light year in astronomy is meaningless to most people. Okay. You know what they said? Light years. Okay. Light, the little light, is when you're traveling from the Earth, you're going to the sun. You cannot count years like 1995, 2005, and light. They count them light years. Eh? Yeah. So it may not make sense. Some of these things only make sense to scientists. Okay. So how do you explain that? Uh, Even though you can explain that it is the distance that light travels in 1 year. That's what it means. Eh? Uh, is a distance of almost 10 million kilometers. Eh? 10 million kilometers. Impossible to imagine. You can't imagine. Okay. So the nearest you might come to a concrete example might be to explain that to reach the nearest star outside our own solar system, the star that's Proxima Centauri is 4 light years away from us. The fastest man-made rocket so far invented would have to travel for more than 18,000 years. But even okay, so 18,000 years to travel to the nearest star, which before so you have changed them to years. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. But then all this can be understood when you are working with scientists. You not be struggling, breaking your head. You say, how long does it take to travel to the nearest star, or even the sun? To reach the sun, it would take 18,000 years. And we're talking of 3,000 years since you guys believers that Jesus Christ was on earth. 3,000 years? Eh? So somebody will still be traveling, still have 15 years left to reach the first star, eh? Using a rocket which travels very fast. Okay. Okay. That was about use concrete words. Yes, they're concrete to others. Then the third one is about do not overload with figures. So what we're discussing here is about the outright science story, right? Okay. Don't overload with figures. Just because you say science, then you put figures all over. No. So do not overload your stories with large numbers or lots of figures. So, in many cases, especially at the start of a story, you should round figures off to make them simpler to understand. For example, 9,750 kilometers. How can you make it to the nearest? 19,750 kilometers. To the nearest becomes what? 19,000. Simple mathematics, guys. 19,750 kilometers. Round it to the nearest figure. What is it? It's 20,000, eh? Yeah, 20,000. Do we forget the. So don't come to journalism say because I don't know, understand, don't like figures. Today we're moving towards figures, data journalism. So this is especially important in radio where listeners do not have time to grasp complicated numbers. On radio, you cannot say 19,750 kilometers. It's too complicated. About 20,000. Eh? That's easy to listen to. Okay? And then the other way how to do it, write brightly. Yeah, write brightly. Okay. So what do we mean by write brightly? Your audience would not like long boring explanations, of course, no. So this is especially true in radio, where the listeners can quickly grow tired of concentration on lots of facts and figures. So you should develop a bright style of writing. This is to attract your listeners, or your readers. So as we have already discussed, keep your words clear and simple. Not use too many scientific terms and explain them in simpler words. Keep your sentences short and simple. Try to limit the important ideas to one or two at the most per sentence. Idea. Make sure every sentence has only an idea. Don't combine ideas in a sentence. Okay. Uh, so do not, however, make mistakes. Shallow writing for bright. Don't make it shallow for bright. I mean for. Eh? Not, however, mistake shallow writing for bright writing. Shallow writing means there are no facts. There's nothing, and you say, I won't write brightly. Okay. However, lively, your writing style, you still need to explain the essential facts properly. Yeah, you can write brightly, but explain your essential facts properly. Okay. So you don't just simply tell it, it was wonderful looking at this as if you're telling. No, go in detail. Avoid avoid too many adjectives or adverbs. Try to write without using adverbs, adjectives, or superlatives. Yeah? By saying this is very important doesn't mean you have said something. Yeah? No. Okay. For instance, maybe there's a discovery or there's a new design of a car. Eh? The new design of a car is able to withstand poor roads, bad roads. So it can be used as an ambulance where it can ferry pregnant mothers from this place to that comfortably. Or the landing, this plane, now when it's landing, the plane it has stronger shocks. And most people, when the plane is landing, they can develop maybe backaches and the likes. But with this plane, they will not develop backaches. Not just saying this landing plane is oh no, it's beautiful, it's nice. But what impact does that have on the people who are passengers there? Eh? Okay. So you can say the landing of this plane now is smoother. That means people will not be developing backaches because the landing now is smoother. Eh? But you don't say this one on your own. You're asking. The scientists will say this plane we have brought in uh, stronger shocks, and you write you stop there. Find out how it benefits the passengers. You see that, eh? You always bring a human side to it. So do not make jokes about scientific development unless they are recognized as humans. Do not make a joke about it. Okay? You may think it funny that people's okay, you know this guy, oh this Will Smith, he slapped who? Chris what? The other joke, isn't it? Because the guy joked about the wife losing hair, isn't it? So he was so angry. That's a scientific thing. So you may think that it's funny that people's hair fall off out when they are treated with a certain drug. For those who were taking, I don't know if they were the certain drugs, people making people, even women or girls, they were making them look like bouncers. Eh? Do you know that? Okay, I don't have to go in this one, but maybe it can be discriminatory. But some drugs were making people look like old, with dry skins. You can't make jokes about those things. Yeah. So don't make joke, but write life bright as well. Okay. Then the other one is do not sensationalize. Do not sensationalize. You know sensational writing, what is? Okay. So to sensationalize means to state something in such a strong and extreme way eh, that it has an effect on people's emotions. So it's about affecting people's emotions. So bad journalists bad journalists sensationalize stories because they are more concerned with grabbing the attention of their readers or listeners than with telling the news accurately. So sensation writing, we have done that. I've done that before. Sometimes you realize you get experience. So there might be some truth in what they write, but they exaggerate it to grab attention. So you don't have to do that in science. Don't even attempt to do that. So sensationalizing science can often lead to harm by forcefully provoking strong emotions such as hope or fear in readers or listeners. Okay, don't do that. Okay, especially like in medicine, uh, vaccines like the one for coronavirus. Some people even refuse to go take a vaccine because they feel it can cause some effects on the human. That's sensational, right? So sensational claims in other fields, even as remote as astronomy, can cause harm. People will panic if you report that a giant meteor is heading towards Earth, but fail to point out that it will arrive. You know, a meteor, those flying objects. But here you think it's witchcraft. Ndege zao feed, yani, yani. In fact, things like witchcraft. Is witchcraft a science or what? Uh, you guys, when you hear reports about witchcraft and zodiac and the likes, is it about fact or about um, myth or what is it? Do you believe it? What is it? Yes, it's a myth. Is it? Do you believe it? Is it fact? Fine. Yeah.
I'm kind of skeptical about it.
Yeah.
It's also
Is what? It's perfection. Mm-hmm.
God developed on this stage.
Okay. Yes. Now I want to hear from you. Huh? It's real. Okay. So he says it's super fiction, eh? For me, I think it's times three super fiction. That's me, eh? Yeah. Uh, I want you guys to go and write a story about witchcraft and then show the evidence, isn't it? It would be wonderful, eh? Yeah. So, Sophia, I give you one week to write a story on witchcraft, okay? And not telling me that somebody said it, but somebody who did it and what he did, and you can demonstrate it. Eh? I'm just requesting. If you can do that one, we'll find another way. And give you the topic whether it is a science or a fiction. So don't sensationalize. So once you sensationalize, you offend scientists, you offend. So never sensationalize a story on that. Okay. Another point to follow is give background details. Background details. Okay. Um, what do we mean here? Very few new scientific or technological developments happen by accident. They don't happen by accident. So most are the result of work over time. They started somewhere and they get a result. So discoveries may come suddenly, but they usually come because a scientist is looking for something anyway. So what means your job for us as reporters or journalists is to place all developments in context. Explain how we got to the situation today. Okay? Uh, in a story about an AIDS drug, for example, explain what scientists know about the disease and how many people it has so far killed, especially in your country or region. Eh? You cannot just say scientists have discovered an HIV or AIDS cure and you stop there the story. Give a background as well. Eh? It started when it was discovered in 1983 and it killed this number of people before ARVs came into place. But the ARVs were found to be causing harm on human bodies and changed because this ARV perhaps had no vitamins. Okay, I'm just so you have a background not from people, but from where you have read and the experts, isn't it? Not what you have heard in the minibus or from friends. Those are rumors. Okay, and so you need these kinds of background details in most stories. All of these stories, in fact, there must be background. Okay, and then the last point is illustrate your story. Okay, what do we mean by this one? Try to provide illustrations which will bring your story alive. In newspapers and on television, pictures or diagrams can say very quickly what it might take you 1,000 words to describe. You have heard about this that a story tells 1,000, so a picture can tell a story of 1,000 words, isn't it? So even you can also use maybe statistics or you can use figures, tables. Okay. So any caption must explain the picture. If you have a picture, make sure you caption that. You know a caption? What is a caption? Yeah?
Yes, I know.
Okay?
I guess.
What is it?
Mm,
No, you wait. Let's give her a chance. Yes. Maria, while she's thinking about it. Yes. But you must communicate. If you can communicate, you must try to communicate. Yes, Mariam, what's the caption? You know it or you don't? A word.
the word.
Some words. Okay.
Which have to describe
Yeah, that's
what is
true.
happening there.
Ah, that's correct. Yeah, sure. That's it. Simple. Eh? Don't doubt what you know. Say it, isn't it? Only when you say something, only when you reveal what you know, then we can discuss from there. So put a caption, but use pictures. Okay. Um, so you obviously cannot illustrate radio stories with pictures, can you? So this picture is for radio. So you what would you be saying? But you might be able to add interest to a radio report with some sound effects. If there's sound effects, isn't it? When there's, if you're reporting maybe a musical festival, then there's some music background, eh? Or somebody was at a meal, you can hear the sound of a meal, eh? Somebody's driving, you can hear the sound of a car, eh? So you can include a short recording of the sound of the, for example, if some people are taking coffee, the sound of cup, eh? Cups, eh? Okay. So if that will add something to your listeners' knowledge. Um, so today, what have we discussed? Ladies and gentlemen, it's about writing about science and technology. Okay. So we have discussed how to overcome problems by following some simple rules. Number one, understand the jargon. Number two, use concrete words. Okay. Number one, jargon. Understand the jargon. Remember, you're a bridge between the science world and the audience. Number two, we said use concrete words where possible. Use examples. Eh? Yeah. You can also use, we gave an example of a pig that weighs 750 kg, the size of a small car. Not overload with figures. Make sure that figures are fewer. Not on that one. Make figures to the nearest. Eh? So you need to do some mathematics. Okay. If you have something like 1,200, 1,200, how can you make it to the nearest figure? What's that one? Eh? Yeah, so you can just say it's just over 1,000, isn't it? Okay? Over, no, when you say over 1,000, it means above 1,000. But what about if you have 1,700? So how would you make that to the nearest? 1,700. About 2,000, not just 2,000. About 2,000. We know that when a number is above 5, we are the one, isn't it? When it's below 5, we ignore it as the ignorant, isn't it? Okay. So write brightly, that's the third one which we discussed. Yeah. Okay. Then do not sensationalize, give background details, illustrate your story. That's what we did discuss about science writing. Okay. Um, yeah. Just for the benefits of. Okay, last time what we discussed, I will repeat this one. I like repeating it because that's very important. Um, just for some of your advantages, we did describe what science is. Eh? Yeah, so science we said is the study of mind and the universe by means of observation, measurement, and experiments. Okay? So science is trying to find means or rules which govern the universe. So observation, measurement, and experiments about the universe. Okay? And technology is the application of science when you apply science technology. Okay, so there are many fields in science, including farming is a science. Uh, um, engineering is a science. Environment is a science. Yeah. So, so there is a distinction between uh, science and technology. Science and technology, they overlap sometimes, okay? But, okay. We said when you are doing science and technology, there are challenges that journalists face, okay? Um, the first challenge is that how do you become a bridge of the scientists themselves and the people you are writing about or reporting when you don't know these things, isn't it? So you need first to know, not that you will be scientist, but you need to understand that. So you need to know as much as you can, but not everything. Eh? The basic. You simply be able to put the relevant parts of the knowledge into words, which your audience can understand. Okay. So number two is that why you are trying to understand, you are being a bridge. You don't have to understand everything. Uh, we also discussed that you do not have to understand the whole of any field of that. For example, you don't need to be to understand the all of the physics. No, eh? To report about physics. Physics is another example of science. Eh? You don't need to understand the whole of chemistry. We did this at Form 4, did we? Chemistry. You did chemistry? You did. Eh? Combined science. Did you do chemistry at Form 4? Chemistry? Did you? Did you? Chemistry. Okay. Okay. Physical science? You did. You didn't do physical science. So you need to be reading this because you need to report. Ask you, eh? Another science, zoology, is about the zoo, these things, the animals, eh? Marine biology, some maths. Geology, me God, eh? Ecology, the ecosystem, eh? Okay. Medicine, psychology, about this, eh? Mechanical and electrical engineering, all these things. What do we say? You don't need to understand all of these, or each of them in detail to start reporting. Blah blah. Read, understand. If you don't understand, ask the experts. Okay. And you have to be simple. That's the third one. Simplicity. But that doesn't mean that you have not be precise as scientists would like you. So you must be able to express the precise details of science accurately in simple terms. So here it's easier said than done. Very easy to talk, but then do it, write it. Okay. Try to bring a human application, okay, for a story to be liked. Ask yourself, how will this affect my readers? Eh? Don't just report what has happened. For example, they have discovered mines at Chowe. Chowe, where is that? Is it Mangoshi? Zomba? Chowe. No, that's Chawe. Chawe. Eh, Chowe is in Mangoshi. Okay? So those are hills somewhere. Okay. What about those mines? What will they help the people? A vaccine has been discovered and you stop there. Who will benefit? Huh? Okay. Then some stories must make it interesting as well. Eh? Okay. Always be accurate. And your readers or listeners usually trust science. So often in fields such as medicine, their lives may depend on it. So you must not alarm them. That's not sensationalizing, isn't it? Okay. So those are the challenges. We also discussed the basics of reporting. Okay. So you should use the same techniques of good journalism. We know the good journalism area in this. Is this? It's about make sure that you follow. When you say good journalism, you must be ethical. Eh? It must be. There must be. It's about be news. Is it new? About human. Oh, that's human interest, and it must be right within the context. Okay. So build up basic knowledge. Hey, huh? Reporting about science. Do you have the basic knowledge about science? That's one. Okay? Read, understand. Part of that. Simple parts, not detail. Number two, you have to read widely. Send positive. Read. Eh? If you don't understand, ask. I don't have time. Huh? Then you're not a journalist. Leave it. Eh? Create time. What do you have time for? If you cannot have time, read. Okay? Then make contacts. The people you can talk to. People can help you. People can help you make the story. Okay. And then building trust. Scientists don't trust journalists. I should say nobody trusts journalists. They think we're lying. Eh? It's not our kindness. But people trust something on Facebook, on WhatsApp. So it's up to us journalists to be trusted by consistently reporting the truth. Eh? Something, not just blabbing about the air. No, something that can make sense, something that the readers, listeners, viewers can benefit from, and should come out true. Eh? Okay. So dig for the truth. That's another one. Don't take things for face value. Make sure that you are arriving at the truth of the matter. You can be confirmed. Eh? That should be reported. Not hearsay. Be skeptical. Always doubt. Only verify. Make sure to verify what you hear. Okay. So that's about the basics of reporting. Build up a basic knowledge, read widely, make contacts, building trust, dig for the truth, be skeptical. The other point which we discussed was about news gathering. So with news gathering, you're going to collect that news, know that is it about people? Okay. Yeah. The people who will be affected, the people who use the developments of the technology, and the scientists themselves. Eh? And so understanding the details. Okay. So you must understand what you are told before you can write clear. Don't write what you don't understand. Eh? If you don't understand anything, leave it. Write only what you understand. To understand something, seek help. Read. Eh? Okay. You can even, after writing a story, go and show who the people is from, those who know it, isn't it? Those who can understand and appreciate it. Can you read through my story? But they don't have to dictate. They should only look at the facts. Okay? Okay. In new sense, sometimes they will tell you that this story is not making sense. To them, they would think that they would be thinking about the story in a different way. The facts are correct, but they say, wait, why can't you write about this? No. You are a journalist, you have notes for news. You have smelled that this is new news, this is not. So tell them, no, what I want is it factual, not about how you arrange your story. Eh? So sometimes they may disagree with you about the news angle that you have taken. But the news angle, so if you know news angle? No. Where your story starts from, that's a news angle. Eh? He can start a story from a different, same story. The way you tell a story, where you think it's the most important point to start from. That's the news angle. And then objectivity, what do we mean? Like many things in life, science can have good and bad effects. People will disagree about what these are. So your job as a journalist is to report the facts as known in a fair and honest way. Don't take sides. Eh? Be objective. Okay. Finally, something we didn't discuss with this class, but we have to complete it here. Is reporting agriculture, fisheries, and forestry. Reporting agriculture, fisheries, and forestry. Okay, so I'll be reading it out. Okay. Reporting agriculture, fisheries, agriculture, yes. Fisheries, and forestry. Okay. So agriculture can also be referred to as farming, eh? Yeah. Forestry. Okay, so farming, fishing, and forestry. Farming, fishing, and forestry are three of the most important forms of human activity around the world. We're just saying farming, fisheries, and forests. These are the important activities, the human activities, in the world. Okay. Why do we think they are important? Income. What else?
The power of it.
Needs such as what? Food. Okay, yes. And employment, which is income, isn't it? Okay, okay. So mostly in developing countries like Malawi, agriculture no longer employs the proportional. Agriculture employs, in Malawi, for example, we have to know how many people are employed in the agriculture sector, and how much the agriculture sector brings to the economy of the country. We have to know that. We know that 80%, over 80% of Malawians are in the agriculture sector. But we have to confirm this. Uh, so, the media can play a crucial role in the dissemination of information about new technologies and techniques, as well as about the spread of threats such as diseases, or blights, insect predation, livestock disease, and climate change. These are the issues that come in. We're talking about when the maize has developed some disease like blight or insects have attacked the maize crop, okay? Livestock diseases, and then climate change. These are issues that they are scientific issues. So when you're reporting about climate change, that's know that you are reporting science and technology. Okay. So we know that the departments of agriculture to educate farmers and alert them to advances and dangers. They're there. So, but the media can often reach into the lives of working farmers more widely and quicker. Immediately, when there's a disease, media can report on that one, hear from farmers, and we can move policymakers to act fast. Okay? So, the media can often reach into the lives of working farmers more widely and quicker with well written articles or broadcasts attracting their attention. So it is also important that non-farming citizens and consumers get to read and hear about what is happening in farming and fishing, so they will understand how food gets onto their tables, why produce prices change, and why there might be shortages or gluts. Okay, we might not have bought maize here, but we have to tell people why is maize expensive today, isn't it? Why is fertilizer expensive today? Okay. It's our duty as journalists to explain, to write. Is it true that fertilizer is expensive because of the Ukraine war? Okay. Okay. Is maize expensive because of the Ukraine war? Or are there other issues? Or is it because of mismanagement of the maize in map? Okay. Or is it because we produced less maize because of poor rains? Okay. So we have little maize, demand and supply, isn't it? So uh, we have to get an angle, interesting angle from there, immediately and quicker for people. The agriculture people will take that one, but they will take time to analyze the bureaucracies. Something that would take the journalists 2 days, it may take the agriculture department months. And the time they find a solution, people are already suffering today. Eh? Okay. Um, so it's important for agriculture reporters to know their specific audience. So if you write for a farming newspaper or special radio program, like what do you call that one? Agriculture radio. This is agriculture radio we have. Hmm. I haven't heard that. So you have to know the media in Malawi. Where are you going to be working, you guys? That is a farm radio. I've not heard about farm radio. Eh? So what about farm? What is it about? Farm radio is about. Eh? Okay. Eh. There's several, and then there are also programs when I catch, of course, other programs, isn't it? Other radio stations, in the, newspapers, and the likes. So, so it's important for agriculture reporters to know their specific audience. So if you write for a farming newspaper or specialist radio program, you need to present quite a lot of detailed information in a way that ordinary farmers can understand. You know that you are writing for farmers, isn't it? So write more details than just writing out their stories. So you can you will find useful that maybe you have now taken what you call a round or a beat on farming, or agriculture. Yeah. Okay. So for journalists starting out in agricultural reporting, science journalists and freelance reporting, um, find a local story or a local component to a global issue. Climate change. Don't report about climate change in Egypt or Tanzania or elsewhere. Report in Malawi. Eh? You can learn from a global perspective, but then narrow it down to the local angle. Start talking to farmers, producers, middlemen, researchers, scholars, scientists, policymakers. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Don't fear. To get a story, talk to the people. Those who are involved in that. So get your hand dirty. Okay? Go to the farm or the lab or the conference or the docs. Not the details. Talk to the workers and their supervisors. Take up copious notes. Hide, take notes. Okay? And keep a skeptical and open mind about everything you read and everyone you chat with. People have their priorities and yours is the truth. Be nice, don't demonize people. Okay. Um, so if you need to really dig deeper into coverage of agriculture news, there are other so many websites. We will do that one as we meet at 10:15. Okay, thank you. That's on technology reporting. But there is an important aspect which journalists need to report quite frequently, or is being reported quite frequently, is also a science and technology. This is about climate change. You have heard about that, isn't it? Climate change. Uh, so, why climate change matters to every journalist and every media house? Why climate change matters to every journalist and every media outlet? Okay. So first, we should look at what is at stake here. What is at stake here is Okay, just a moment. Yeah. So what is at stake? What is at stake today? What is at stake? Meaning, what matters really? Um, the Earth's climate has always changed, but because of human activities, it is now changing faster than it was for thousands of years. That's what scientists are telling us. This is what scientists and politicians mean when they talk today of climate change. Okay? So this climate change is here to stay. It will affect all of our lives. It is already affecting, in fact, and need every aspect of society, from our health and food supplies to business and national economies. Okay. Uh, there was also in an original climate change in Africa guidebook. It was noted that climate change threatens to reverse many of the development gains that African nations have made. They're going to be reversed. And this is true for nations in Asia, elsewhere. Okay? So, climate change poses threats to food and water security. This corona thing, is it about climate change? The president said that it was found to be laughable, sort of, isn't it? We don't know. People laughed at it. So it poses threats to food and water security, to political and economic stability, to livelihoods and landscapes. But it also creates opportunities for politicians. How does climate change provide opportunities for politicians? Maria, it also creates opportunities for politicians, business leaders, and communities. How do you think that? Isn't it?
I think it gives them the opportunity to provide aid to the people that are affected. And by doing that, they would be gaining more favor in the eyes of
Not far from it. Yeah, sure. They must help to act in ways that can bring benefits for all, isn't it? Okay. So it also can create opportunities for new business models and innovation. We have seen countries now moving from uh, energy systems that were pollutant energies to clean air energies. Do you know this one? Green energies using solar, okay, instead of using diesel or fuels or charcoal, okay. So, and new ways for ancient knowledge to have an impact at home. Some people are now resorting to means that can provide clean energies. Okay. Um, let's look at some of the injustices of climate change. It is unfair. Okay. So the countries and communities that are most at risk from its impact and are least able to adapt are those that have contributed least to the problem. Okay. Climate change is due to the industrialization in the West, America, all those countries. But countries which are suffering its impact are countries like Malawi. We have not contributed anything to climate change. We are still living life in an ancient country. Okay. So, if poor nations pursue economic growth by the same means from which industrialized nations have benefited, such as by burning charcoal and clearing forests. They will only add to the climate change problem. Okay, so deforestation using charcoal, we're now moving towards that. It's something that contributes to climate change. So if we do that work at an intensive scale, we will also be contributing to climate change. So the richest nations use those means to where they are today. But the richest nations, they want everybody to do the same, what they're doing to control climate change because it's affecting them. Okay? So the international negotiations on climate change is vulnerable to brinkmanship, meaning some countries are very strong, they cannot accept, like China. If you ask them to control the use of coal, they will say we are still a developing country. Okay? So there will be fighting between the US, the Chinese, maybe the Russians over how to understand climate change. But also within countries like America. You remember when Trump was there, he said climate change is a hoax. It's not something you can believe. So such kind of fighting between countries and in fighting within political parties or politicians in countries is derailing uh, talks on finding a common ground to control climate change. So Mali and other smaller countries can do nothing. They will simply be listening to bigger boys, bigger club members. Okay? They can even break promises. Nobody can punish them. Nobody. Um, we're talking about countries that would so much power on that. Okay. So uh, the the injustice of climate change, there are also inequality within countries, as it is the poorest communities that are most vulnerable to climate change. Again, these tend to be the people who have done least to contribute to the problem. Poor people are suffering. Okay. So these ethical and moral aspects of climate change have prompted the concept of climate justice, which civil society organizations have used to call upon governments and others to organize the rights and needs of the climate vulnerable poor. So there is climate justice there. Climate justice activists call for the equitable distribution of resources to tackle climate change, for climate vulnerable people to take part in making decisions about how the money gets spent. They say, okay, we want us to contribute into climate change. Give us money because you are the ones who caused it. For us to participate in this one, we need money. Okay? For us to stop cutting trees, we need money so that our people can be given others alternative sources of energy. Instead of using charcoal, give us money so that they can be using other means of using charcoal. Because charcoal contributes to climate change. Okay? And climate justice activists call for the equitable distribution of resources as such. So these ethical issues of how to ensure fair opportunities for all people and how to ensure that nations and people act according to their responsibilities and capabilities are at the core of the climate change story at local, national, and national levels. That's what you're looking at. What is it? Magisa buzima zima chabu. Uh-huh. Is it because of corruption local? Or is it because of climate change? We haven't expanded the Nkura Falls since 1960s. Kumwegaja. Okay. So those are the issues to look at. Link climate change to say cholera, link climate change to link climate change to use of charcoal, and make a compelling case, a compelling story. Go deeper. That's the story people would like to hear from journalists. That's what you're paid for. That's what you're surviving on. Eh? It should be scientific enough. You don't just stand there listening to people say, climate change, nature and its menace. Write a story. Read, understand. Okay. Um, why coverage matters? Why does media coverage matter at all? Yeah. So we should know that climate change is not going away. It's not going. It's going nowhere. It's there. So it will get worse before it gets better. That's for people to see the opportunities and reduce the risks. Everyone will need to know more about climate change. Okay. So the way the media covers it will affect how well societies deal with the problem. So climate change will become an increasingly important issue for journalists to cover in order to provide open discussion and access to information for local response to the global issue of climate change. So it's for us who can ignite the debate, push the debate, make it interesting. And then in that sense, we can find solutions. We can make a nation find solutions. Okay. So for journalists, coverage of climate change means several things. Okay. What are these several things? One, at the local level, it can save lives, formulate plans, change policy, and empower people to make informed policies, choices. Medium, what are these? Are you together in class? Or, so can you tell us some of these means or the means that appear in the press that climate change issues journalists can cover at local level? What are these? And how can they help? What are the issues that can be covered at local level pertaining to climate change as a journalist?
Without spreading the news.
Huh? What exactly, what impact would that have at local level that you want? People would like to benefit from what you are reporting. What human angle, how will the issues on climate change help at local level? Sophie.
Like more research, learning to information,
Mhm.
we use which will, will help other sectors on how to overcome some problems through information that we received.
Mhm. Not bad. At least maybe you're following something. Okay. So that's how climate change can. So it can save lives. It can help formulate plans and change policy and empower people to make informed choices. Okay. So through informed reporting, journalists can shine a light on the worth of activity that people are already undertaking to prepare for climate change. So our job is to make it shine some light so others can see. Okay. So what's the story here for journalists? What's the story? So climate change is not just a story. Okay. It is the context in which so many other stories will unfold. Okay. As such, it's not subject solely for science or environment reporters to cover. No, it's essential for all journalists, editors, media owners, and journalism educators to understand at least the basics of climate change. So here we are, journalism educators, to understand uh, what climate change is all about. What is it? If you go to this class, will you explain what climate change is and what you can cover? Okay. Okay. So this is an issue full of stories that can sell newspapers and attract new audience online. The argument has been climate change is not an interesting story. Who can read? Who can listen to it? But no, it can help. It also depending on your skills, the way you write channel, it can come. You can come with good stories, and they can help even bring popularity to your media house. So new because they fear can climate change. This is a who is going to read? Who is going to listen to? Because it's in business, people want to sell newspapers, people want the radio to be listened to their programs. They'll be sort of relegating those to the dustbins. These stories, no, it's a climate change. No, there's no story. But there are stories there. Okay, so these are all real stories that journalists report or can report on. Okay, um, what's missing from the media coverage of climate change? Something's missing. First, uh, okay, lack of understanding, lack of interest. People would just like to go to the meeting of a president and cover, go to conference. Challenge doesn't want laziness. You have to be up and down. You have to be strong. You have to be interested to read. Eh? But if you are waving your hands lazily like this one, you won't get information. The idea is for you to be relevant, you have to have information that you can sell. Eh? Eh, we are vendors who are selling information. That means you have to sell information which is good enough for somebody to buy. It may not give you cash directly. If information is good enough that you're covering in the news, for example, for a radio, it means more people will be coming to listen to the radio. Now, when more people listen to the radio, it becomes popular. Those who would like to advertise their businesses, their products, they'll be coming there. As such, they'll be giving you what? Money for our institution. And then you have salaries at the end. So that's how it works for media. Nobody will ask you, say, go and pay for a program at Zodiac. No. But Zodiac knows that, okay, if Sophie, McLaren, Tata, they are listening today, and others, many people, the number growing, those who produce or those businesses will come and advertise on us. Okay. Okay. So, what's missing? So, most stories that have been written about climate change, they demonstrate how climate change affects men and women and vulnerable people, such as elder people, young people, and people with disability in different ways. Indeed, what are the human rights and gender dimensions of covering climate change? What are these? How does it, what are the human dimensions? Human rights and gender dimensions. People will always say women are more affected by climate change. But then that is a story too often told. Bring something new. How? The how of it and why. Eh? Go beyond the words, beyond the normal. Climate change is due to uh, deforestation, gas emissions in the air. But how? How can this make? How can you make interesting out of that? Okay. There have been more success stories that highlight how people are adapting and mitigating climate change, developing solutions and using new technologies that can limit the consequences of climate change. Which are these technologies which can limit climate change?
Gas industry.
Which can limit climate change? Can gas in the how? Which can make climate change? Can mitigate?
I think that's one important gas doesn't really pollute the air, so it doesn't affect the ozone layer. Like the carbon dioxide, monoxide, it doesn't produce those kind of gases to air.
No. The answer is a no. So read more about climate change. Yeah? Understand.
Okay, can you go explain because I didn't understand.
Okay.
Rather briefly, yeah.
Okay, we're saying, uh, most success stories highlight how people are adapting and mitigating climate change, developing solutions and using new technologies that can limit the consequences of climate change. So I say, what are these solutions and these new technologies that can limit the consequences of climate change?
New technology.
Yeah, Sophie.
Imagine how to avoid overusing, which leads to damaging everything.
Mariam, Mariam, take a bit of serious approach. Can you put your phone aside, please? Yeah? So what is it? My worry is when you come out of university, people should see that people come out of university and pursue something. Yeah? It will be good. Mm-hmm. Kada, the last. What are technologies? If you understand the meaning of technology, which technologies are being put in place that can control climate change?
Gadgets,
Like what?
cars that are not
The remote of cars.
mobile cars, the cars that are using batteries nowadays, they're not using fuel.
Okay. Yes, well, that's one of the technologies. Yes.
No.
Okay. Oh,
What is irrigation? So
irrigation, how?
I'm not figuring out.
English, please, because you're right. Reforestation, planting back trees, isn't it? That's technology. Eh? So the technologies that doesn't mean always they have to be something hardware stuff, the likes. But even maybe not using the genetically modified crops. Okay. Eh, so these are the technologies. Okay. More coverage of each nation's role and responsibilities under the UN Climate Change Convention. These are the things that will put you in spotlight if you understand things like this. Because you are going to be in the field, you don't understand everything in class, but these are the areas that you need to be studying. Climate change is a very important area on its own. If you put on that, you'll be not even if before you get employed, but if they see so many of your stories perhaps being on Facebook page, in WhatsApp groups, and you're writing about this one, instead of wasting time with TikToks and all those things. These things can earn you the job.
But TikTok is not yours.
Huh?
TikTok is
The
not yours.
message behind it.
No, like when you Google it, because there's stuff there.
Yeah, what am I saying? TikTok, yes, but what about if you put TikTok, you're putting there just rubbish, people just laughing the whole day. But put the message, what's the message there? But if you just put some women shaking their behinds there, dance,
Oh, women check their behind.
do you see them dancing? But not only that, but we have also seen
Yeah.
people making jokes, silly jokes on TikTok, right? But if you can use that TikTok, maybe produce a story about climate change. Somebody may not like it, but you may find that it's maybe after years making it. Okay? We see men doing funny jokes. Eh? Okay, they have made money, but what are you earning out of that? What you don't know? Okay, fine. Um, we also need more coverage of the status of United Nations, no, national adaptation program of action, and the national adaptation plans. We should know these terms. We're talking of UN climate change. What do they say? Then national adaptation programs of action. What are these? Okay. More stories at national level. What is it? What is Malay talking about climate change? Do we know anything about government approach about climate change? Fine, maybe nothing. And then you go to a meeting about climate change, you're empty-headed. Read, understand before you go to cover. Okay. And we also have more stories on climate finance. How is it financed? And more stories on the legal responsibilities of carbon emitters. Okay. More stories about business and development opportunities that climate change presents. Yeah. Because of climate change, some more business come in. We have seen companies bring in like those barras, bow, right? They call it some bow. What is that called? They are sort of but not using charcoal. They use wood, but it can last for long. Right? And we should write more stories that explain the causes, including climate change of events such as droughts, floods, as well as effects of plants and animals. There are so many floods these days, isn't it? Landslides, closing roads, potholes in the roads, the coming of rain patterns, and all those things. Okay, so we, in short, we need to know more about climate change by reading. Uh, what's that with climate change? No, this one is for other people. Who? It's you. It's exactly. We're not concerned. You, and it's not like it's more for more experienced journalists. Go out there and make an impact. Eh? Not say I will, but say I can. That's today. Okay. Mm, let me making a good story. Eh? Making a good story. That is sourcing and using data, photos, videos, maps, and graphics. This is a big one. This one we'll discuss tomorrow on making a good story, sourcing and using data, photos, videos, and maps. This is tomorrow. I thought will be a bit fresher. Maybe it's me will be fresher. Will you be fresher as well by 10 o'clock? Or you'll be tired? So there's so much, the volume of free available data about climate change is steadily increasing. So much. As governments and international groups publish more of their information online. So for a journalist working to explain the realities of climate change, data is a helpful assistant. Okay? It can add both concrete evidence for a specific claim and help explain the global contexts for a local story. Okay? So you will be doing about sampling of climate change data focused on carbon emissions, finance, and key sectors at risk of every country, whether Malawi, but mostly Malawi. Okay, so this data will be coming from a variety of sources. We will see the sources where data should come from. Okay, um, so all these will be talking about World Bank climate indicators, climate funds update, um, intergovernmental panel on climate change, and then we'll be discussing using the data itself. Okay, how do you use the data on climate change? Um, yeah, I think for today we can stop there.